With me today is Joseph Shaw. He is the author of To Honor the Dead. He graduated from the University of New Mexico and studied at the University of Southern Mississippi's Writing Center. And Joe, I want to ask you, what decided you to write To Honor the Dead?
I began writing 40 years ago. Did some student writing, did some early short story and nonfiction publication back in the 70s, mid-80s. Got distracted with the need to make a living, and
that often happens to writers.
Just knew that I wasn't going to be able to provide for my family the level I wanted to, and do the writing I wanted to do. I had to make some decisions. Obviously managed to keep the notion alive, and began working on this really in earnest about 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. Began to gather material stored in shoe boxes and notebooks and journal entries and that kind of thing. Brought it together. This is actually part of a trilogy.
Okay, is it the first one in the trilogy?
Actually, it's the last one.
The last one. Okay.
I hate to say that, and I dangle out the carrot that maybe it'll be a quattro. Who knows? We'll see. But this, as it stands, this is the third in the series. I'm about to finish up the first one chronologically, and I have again a shoebox full of notes for the middle one.
Mm-hmm. Now, are all of them about the same family, or are they just all set in the same place?
No, they're about the same family, the same setting, time span over a 40, 50-year period. Mm-hmm. Evolution of character over that period of time. And
now, do you follow one person through all of these, or is it one family?
No, it's actually two families. It's two families, and it's several individuals within those two families.
And a farm. I suspect the farm actually becomes a character, doesn't it?
The farm really is. The setting is a character. The setting is certainly part of it. I grew up in western Oklahoma, as the bio says, and just drawn to it. I've lived in New Mexico now 40 years. I went to the University of New Mexico to study with Tony Hillerman, and he's been a longtime friend. Recently passed away, but my creative urges they sort of ignite when I cross the state line into Oklahoma. And I haven't written anything, despite the effect of New Mexico on a lot of artists and writers. I'm motivated to write in New Mexico, but I'm not particularly motivated to write about New Mexico. I'm motivated to write about Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's great. I mean, that's if it inspires you, then go with it.
I have the narrator in here, the character, the narration character. Has a line where he feels his pulse quicken as he crosses the state line, and I'll admit to that much of the book being autobiographical. Mm-hmm. The rest of it I won't admit to.
The rest of it you just made up. But you said you had notebooks and journals and that sort of thing. Now, was all of this just things that you had written down? Was there any research about the particular period, or
no? I really didn't have to do a lot of research. I grew up in western Oklahoma and know the country and know the people and feel the climate even when I'm not there. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting. One of the little editors at the press at UNM Press called me in real frustration and said, "Mr. Shaw, we can't. Highway 3 doesn't intersect with 81." And I said, "Well, it's my book. It's my universe. I made it up. It's mine." Right. And but it took her a while to get used to. She actually went to Google and tried to verify all the locations and all the settings in the book and so forth, and I said, "You're wasting your time. That isn't going to happen."
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a work of fiction. It's not like you were writing a history of western Oklahoma.
It is a book of fiction, and I'm really serious about the fact that it is made up. Mm-hmm. We all have a jumping off point. We have things that have happened in our lives, or things we've heard about, or incidences that can prompt a piece of fiction, but it's not a history.
Well, I think any novelist who's serious about his work does create his own universe. Because there are, if you look into it and read it deeply enough, you see there are principles governing the operation of the weather and the intersection of highways and that sort of thing too. So, yeah, if you want to make the highway run that way, go for it.
My highway. It's the narrative, the surface narrative, I guess I would call it, is kind of a broke down on his luck truck driver. And he's kind of studiously avoided his home for a number of reasons for a long time. And he's sort of, there's always a catalyst. And there's a catalyst in here that kind of forces him back for a period of time into his own hometown. And he gets a second chance to confront evil head on. And he blew it the first time, and he maybe gets it right this time, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
So the reader's going to have to make up their own.
They're going to have to decide that. Inside the moral universe of the novel, you're given the opportunity to value a single human life. And how you value that life in the reading of the novel will determine how you interpret the end. So it forces the reader back on themselves, and that's my intention is to write serious fiction, and I believe that's what serious fiction usually does. And so that's the goal.
Well, it sounds like from the fact that you're a finalist and from the things on the back of the book that you have achieved that goal.
I hope so.
And I would look forward very much to the prequels, may I use that word?
You may. Prequels, correct.
Of that. So you're going to, when you said you were already working on the first of the...
Chronologically the first. I'm actually probably 6 months away from finishing it.
Okay. So it'll be about a year before we can see the start of this.
At least. Yeah.
Well, that will make it interesting, though. Knowing the ending, or what we believe is the ending, it will make it fascinating, I think, to go back and read the beginning of the whole thing. So, well, I want to thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm honored to be a finalist.
Thank you.
Delighted with this.
Joseph Shaw has been here talking about his book, To Honor the Dead. You can find it at your library and your favorite bookstore.